What's up, folks? Real quick, I wanted to take a look at the LV. Yeah, I keep saying LSO, but LVO, the Las Vegas Open tournament that just wrapped up a week or two back at this point. But in my prep for Adepticon or Worlds, I like to watch these and kind of get a sense of what lists are out there and what I may end up facing, just to know what I should practice against and kind of see what to expect. Um, and this is the final 16. This is the top 16, the final day of LVO. And you can see that it was won by First Order, which, if you go to the chats and talk to the streamers and such, you wouldn't expect First Order to be coming out on top. I have always been afraid of First Order. They come out as they just have great stats. Like, that's it. And, like, be all end all, that's it. They just have better stats than average for a below average cost. They're really, really, really strong, and great players can do incredible things with them, as Doug House showed at LVO by taking the win. But then the other thing that's a really big takeaway is that there's a lot of Republic in the top 8. If I'm not mistaken, one, two, three, four, five out of the top 8. So all but 3 of the top 8 lists at LVO were Republic, which is interesting. And then also, if you look at the other top 16, only one of the standard Han lists made it and topped out at 9th, I believe. I mentioned this to several different people. I really struggle to read this, like where 16-1, 16-9, like it doesn't make any sense to me. Um, but these are folks in the top 16. I believe the order is by player order, so this would be top 8, 9th, 10th place would be Mitchell Hurst, who's a really good player, with this sort of standard Rebel Han list that has that Bist Han in it. And then we've got heavy bombers list. We've got a decimator. We've got a double decimator, double bomber. Yuck. But I mean yeah, that's the kind of thing we're gonna have to look out for. And that's the stuff that I'm kind of teching to deal with. Um, this is a weird one, and you can actually look at this and see these lists. And I'll have this in the comment section or the description section so you can kind of see what's going on here. Um, this is a weird one too. Is that Rebels or Republic? I want to say that's going to be not Republic. I'm sorry, Resistance. This is Resistance, of course. You got Zori, and I recently learned about this, or what is it? Plasma Torpedo says crits are canceled before hits, and then Wartime Loadout says that crits can't be canceled, if I remember correctly. So that's some weird thing about how this combo somehow prevents. It's actually, you know what? Let's build this. Let's see the actual words of the cards. Looking at Resistance, we're looking at Zori Bliss in the Y-Wing. And then we've got Wartime Loadout. And then we have torpedoes, torpedoes, torpedoes. We have plasma torpedoes. Okay. Plasma torpedoes. During the neutralize result step, critical results are canceled before hit results. And then Wartime Loadout reads, while you perform a torpedo, if the defender's in your bullseye, okay, bullseye only, your crit results cannot be canceled by evade results. So the way I've heard this read is that so if you have a bullseye shot on someone, you hit them with a couple crits, they can't cancel hits until they cancel the crits, but they can't cancel the crits because of this. So yeah, my understanding is they just can't cancel any hits, which feels like there should be a ruling there. Maybe that is the ruling, but that was a thing that stuck out to me at one of the podcasts I listened to talking about this, and I wish I remember who that was. I believe that was Will on Gold Squadron. But this is just stats. It's just raw, scary, scary stats. But where First Order comes out ahead on this is you've got Kylo Ren, Silencer Kylo, who is the single strongest ship in the game. Like one-on-one, I would pit Kylo and the Silencer against any other ship in the game. Even Bist and Han, it doesn't get much benefit with only one shot firing. Terrifying ship. Incredibly hard to bring down. Super, super fast. Hits really hard. Yeah, yeah, phenomenal. And then all of these other ships have a really intense combination of very difficult to hit and also being very maneuverable and having a lot of action and especially action economy. That is one thing that stands out about the First Order is they have ways to get free double mods and free focus tokens without having to take the action between the First Order specific upgrades. First Order is scary, y'all. But yeah, and I want to look at this T-70 spam. So the Republic 5 ship is something that was on my radar to watch out for. This absolute ocean of Republic stuff was not. This is new. This is stuff that and it's not new. This has been kicking around since that LVO, or excuse me, LSO. Now I got that one wrong. Since that Lone Star opened when Paul Heaver took down the Han Menace with the Padme Republic list. But if I'm reading this right, almost none of these actually brought Padme. It looks like number 4 did. Tyler brought Padme. Yeah. So this is actually the standard list. Yeah, I believe that is the standard list that Paul put together. And then we've got Bomber Spam. And so he also only lost to the First Order. So the First Order really messed some of this stuff up. That First Order list is very good against the arcs because it's got so many evade dice. So many evade dice and also a lot of opportunity for heavily modded attacks, but then also just absolutely run circles around this on objectives. That was Chiranu. This Chirpy is very frightening, and this is one that worries me a lot. That combination of Death Troopers and Darth Vader crew, and of course the Dauntless title, Ruthless, and just being Admiral Chiranu, is a great card, or is a great ship with great upgrades. It's really kind of good to see the Decimator coming back in a big way in some of the recent games. I don't love flying against them, but it's cool to see them on the table. It was sad when they were out. So those are some of the more standard ones, and then it looks like J-Man ran the same list as well. Winco ran another Empire Salad that had a couple TIE fighters in it. This is a weird one. I wanted to make sure to check out this one. So Kanan in the VCX instead of Han. Yvonne Verlaine, the 3-point Y-Wing. Okay. It's interesting to have a Y-Wing at 3 points because they are very sturdy. Didn't carry through the ending. We got Luke, we got Sabine, we got Keo. Okay. So mostly the players you'd expect just with these two instead of the Falcon, and then Sabine in the TIE instead of Fen. So you've got Y-Wing and a TIE fighter instead of Fen, Kanan instead of Han, which gives you a little bit more objective control and a little bit more flexibility, but not great against a wall of bombers. And of course, the Chirpy I just talked about as being that scary. Single elimination lost to Yokas, who's the number 2 player. So no shame at all in losing that one. No shame in losing any of these. These are the top 16 at a very large tournament. This is very impressive. Okay, so let's tuck into these Republic lists a little bit. Oh man, went 3-1, and that one was enough, and lost to the top player. So we've got. So I don't see SOC on Boost. I guess Boost came in the actual pack, or one of the Aces packs. I think it's in the actual pack. But you've got all Siege of Coruscant, and then one extra 2-point Z95. It's really good to see Torrents on the table, especially getting second place. That is phenomenal. I love that. Just because Torrents are a really cool, iconic ship for Republic, and they aren't very good. But the Siege of Coruscant ones, my understanding is they have an extra hull, I believe, and then some decent upgrades too, above their usual, what they can usually carry, and then also those two have decent abilities, especially in combination with that Born for this that I believe all of these get from those quick build cards. So this is no. If you want, I think somebody mentioned this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A total of 7 cards. The entire list uses 7 individual cards, which is unheard of. And it's a 6-ship list, so that's wild. And then went as Jokas again. Isophane brought this wild thing. Excuse me. And I really love to see V-Wings as well. V-Wings and the Torrents is cool. And of course, everyone's running the arcs, but I gotta say, I wonder if there's something to just running all 3-pointers. You run all of the Siege of Coruscant Torrents, then you run some of the cheaper V-Wings, and then just keep it at that. Like, you could absolutely cover the board in ships that are really hard to bring down and do a lot of different tricks and things and give each other target locks all over the place. It would be curious to see what you can do with that. I can't say it's good. Obviously, the Siege of Coruscant. Obviously, the Siege of Coruscant arcs are really, really powerful, but I wonder. Can't help but think about it. I have seen 6-ship lists pop up more and more. I don't think they fare well against the FO list here. A 6-ship can be easily picked apart by these things, unless you bring the tech to bring down high evade ships, which a lot of lists don't necessarily, because they'll either focus down low evade ships or they will focus on objectives and just outflying the high evade ships. For me, I still have trauma from 1.0. I don't remember if it was, I think it was 1.0 and then early 2.0. I built all of my lists entirely around taking down 3 of age ships. That was my personal hell, was chasing down 3 of age ships and having them not dying. So I built lists that would just kill them, especially favored with my dear sweet Ketsu, who I missed terribly, and the Lancer. This guy, what is this? What is this? What is this? Someone's salty about version 1. That's why you got, 12th place here, buddy. Okay, and let me see if I can find some of the other heats. So here's day 2. There's a couple things I wanted to pick out here is that the Republic list filtered to the top, because if you look at the individual days, there were a lot more players. There weren't that many Republic. Like in this one, if I'm reading this correctly, the top 2 were Empire, if I'm not mistaken. So Mitchellhurst is in this. Yeah, and there was another FO, so Whisper Kylo, underperformed Silencer Kylo. But that's also an excellent list. I'm seeing, what is that, Von Reg, and then, yeah, Von Reg plus the pretty much the same ones you see there. Wait, that was it. This is one I really wanted to see. Shout off. If anyone knows APOG or who that is, I want to find this person and do whatever I can to shake their hand, even if it's a virtual shake their hand. Because someone took Boba Fett to LS for to LVO, and I gotta applaud them for that. They went 0-5, but they did it. And you know what? Points for that. I'm gonna beat on my drum here. This is my own personal soapbox. I really don't think you should ever take Maul on Boba. If you have to take a Force crew, bring the child. It encourages people to shoot at him, and that will protect your other ships, and it'll recharge your Force. You'll have 2 Force that'll recharge without taking the stress you get from Maul. 3 points cheaper. I would just don't do it. Um, yeah, I know that's the classic loadout is you have to take Maul and bombs on Boba, but you don't. Don't do it. Other ways to do it. I got the child on Afra. Okay, there's that build. Dengar Gunner, weird. It's just a weird list. All right, but I wanted to look at it. It's got Limo ion missiles and Huh. Okay. No, no. Yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, I'd like to see that. I do think there is something to Boba. I have not personally found it yet, but I've got a couple lists on my docket to try out. But I did take Boba to my last major tournament and also lost, although I believe I won 3 games, but certainly not enough to make cut. Yeah, anyway. Also love to see some weirdness here. We got Lebo, Sabine Hall, Gina, Luke. I love to see a B-Wing on the table. Love to see someone running the YT-2400. They didn't do well, but since they only had 1 appearance, it's hard to say what happened. Bad matchups, bad luck, who knows? Still like to see people trying those, even at major tournaments. That is cool. But again, one thing I really wanted to highlight is the variety of lists, and then in the final cut, how many of those that made the final day, especially the top 4 and top 8, that were Republic. There was a lot of variety and some very scary lists from a bunch of different factions, but Republic filtered to the top dramatically. And it could just be the insane efficiency of the arcs, but there may be more to it as well. So we'll go here, and then we'll look at Heat Day 1. There were a fair number. So I believe the top 2 players on day 1 were Republic, top 2 in day 2 were Empire, and Doug was in day 1 there. What was that? Heat 1, day 1, Heat 1, day 2, yeah. Got a 5 T70, dang. But yeah, so there's a lot. Oh, hello. 5As are back. That didn't make it to day 2. And I do kind of want to touch on this. I want to look at this real quick because this is still a really scary list. 5 A-Wings is very dangerous. Wait, there was another scum list? Did I miss that? Ooh, I got to look at that one too. Yeah, so it's pretty cool to see this. And 5 A-Wings are still really good. That they're all 4 points is a bit of a bummer, but that's how you get 5 of them. So I wanted to see what beat this. So it lost to the Empire spam. I see a Vader in there. That would be a challenging matchup. Han will eat this alive because he gets to throw those double shots at your A-Wings. I mean, one-on-one an X-Wing versus an A-Wing, that could go either way dice-wise, but the X-Wings will have heavily modded attacks and just more dice, and that could really go on there. And there was a bye week or a bye game, and then Scum. Scum had a win. Okay. She's doing bullseye. Let's take a look at that list. No big surprise there. Then we've got the 5 X-Wings. I do like the 5 T-70s. That is an interesting one to see. And you see those HLCs sprinkled in there. If you can avoid those, an HLC will really ruin the day of an A-Wing. Okay, there we go. We got Dace, Arliz, Lima, Cad, Genesis, Red. Ooh, interesting. And then Bosk. So that's a variant of the 6-ship scum list that I've seen kicking around. Let's take a look at how Bullseye did. So there were a handful of scum players, and I gotta really respect them for doing that because there is something to scum. It is still a powerful faction that can hang with this, but it's an uphill fight. Okay, and it beat the Imperial mess there. Lost to First Order, lost to that nasty Rebel thing, and then another one. Oh, this is Republic Rebels, so that's a Republic Falcon. Okay. Yeah, I will say, personally for me, on the Rogues, you don't get it every turn, but the power of those hits when you get those proton cannons is so good. Just bring the proton cannons. It's tempting to lean on the synced laser cannons just to get the 3-die primary, but that extra die on the shots where you do land it, it's a proton torpedo. You don't need a lock to fire. Down to the wire. It even has the free focus mod. Super, super good, especially in combination with the rogue fighters dead to rights. Extremely powerful. So anytime you're bringing a rogue, I recommend trying very hard to make it work with the proton cannons instead of sync laser. The sync laser is 2 additional points, so there's less you can do. Yeah, I strongly prefer that. Even that I don't like the ion cannon HLC because that's even more points, and it just feels ineffective. You end up doing 1 damage at most, and then you're missing your um, HLC shots, or you don't have the arc, and then if you do have the HLC, you're not doing any crits. Just bring the proton cannons, live dangerously. Let's see it. I wonder how that Genesis Red performed with those proton torpedoes. So this is not the 6-ship scum that I've seen kicking around, but it's definitely a variant of it. Dace is often in there. So Dace is in there usually. Dirge is usually in there. The 2 Y-Wings are usually in there. And then the others kind of, the last 3-point can be a little bit different. And that one mixes around a bit. Okay, so this is that one. So that's Ray. Ooh, Ray Falcon. That ship scares the living crap out of me. The Ray Falcon has just insane mods on those attacks. Han can blank out and whiff. He has so many shots it doesn't matter too much, but Ray is going to hit you, and she's going to hit you hard on every single shot. It's a bananas ship, and I don't really understand how it drifted out of the meta. You don't see a ton of Republic pilots anyway, but Ray Falcon is still a scary piece and definitely one to watch out for. Yeah, again, I'll put the full link to this in the description. Ooh, double B-Wing. Ooh. Okay, Hera. Hera and 10. All right, 10 is really good, but they're the 5-point B-Wings. It's a bold choice. I do think Wedge A-Wing is an amazing piece. Super good. Talking about those ships that can harass and take out high evade ships, Wedge is way up there. I think mine has Predator. Yeah, anyway, don't want to get too long on this. One of the thought presses I wanted to go ahead and talk through, something that may apply to a bunch of these lists. So right now I'm running my list that is, my scum list is 2 rogues. Then I've got, now I'm blanking on my list. Well, let me pull this up to make sure I have the right thing. So it is 2 rogues. I have both Cad and Dirge. And then for the moment, I have, yeah, there we go, Dace. How could I forget Dace? Okay, so I've got the 2 rogues. I've got Dirge and Cad. I've got Dace in there and the Hawk, and then I've got Bosk as my 2-pointer. And then with the other 6 points, right now I have the Mandalorian in there in the ST70, and that's 6 points. So I was thinking about this the other day. Just to go ahead and talk through it real quick, I was thinking about swapping out that 6-point ship for 2 3-point ships. And the 2 that come to mind are, of course, the Y-Wings. So Arliz and Lima are both really, really strong ships. They do really well. They're both quite durable, despite having that 1 evade die. They have a bunch of hit points. And so let's just actually pull this up too. So if we're looking at ST70, we're looking at Mando, and then we're looking at the Y-Wings. Yeah, there we go. So that's exactly what I could do with the 6 points. I can do a Y-Wing has 8 health. The SD-70 has 9, so it's one more, so almost double the hit points on two different ships. But the SD-70 does have a defensive ability, and then also has the extra the extra evade die, which really, really adds up, and the higher aggressive primary attack. Now, if I bring two Y-wings, that's two targets, so they have to be two different. It takes twice as many shots to bring them down, even if they have slightly less health individually, and not by much. And then they also have two more shots back. But the downside being, what is the quality of those shots? What is the quality of that defense? Having the one evade die really hurts them. Having the two primary really hurts them. Having any secondary weapon either do not very much damage, be limited range, or both, or be an ordnance that requires a target lock. And so in the end, I decided to stick with Mando in large part, just because the extra evade die makes him a points fortress, plus that defensive ability helps him take some extra damage. But the biggest thing is that his offense is heavily modded, whereas the other two Y-Wings basically isn't. You can really do a lot of tech and weird hijinks in Jack to get them to be more modded, but they still aren't going to compete with an SD-70, a Mando build, built around being offense. That sucker punches, and also has higher quality offense than the Y-Wings. Um, and is both a more and less tempting target. So it's a more tempting target, so people will sink some fire into it. More durable, so it should survive that, where the Y-Wings probably wouldn't. But then also a less tempting target, because people will want to shoot at the other stuff as well. So in the end, and objective control, two bodies is better, but some objectives actually favor a medium base over the small bases. So in the end, I've decided to stick with Mando for the moment. Let's see how that goes in practice. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of talk through that design thought process, kind of where I was going with it. So if I'm looking at going up against Republic and there's a bunch of arcs, the smaller ship count could hurt, but the larger ship count, I think those Y-Wings would melt real quick, probably in a single first engagement with the arcs. Whereas Mando could do something stupid and benefit from it because of his defensive mod and the extra evade die. So I still don't intend to joust the arcs. Nobody should do that, but yeah, it's still, if I end up in a place that's unfortunate, Mando will be in a better spot than one of the Y-Wings. So that was the thought process, and I just wanted to go ahead and talk through that. So that's it. I've rambled for long enough. Appreciate the time, and yeah, see you out there.